Trapped. Usually the Star Tugs and Z Stacks had to compete for work, but this is the story of the time the two fleets were sent on an upriver job together. "There's sure to be trouble," Top Hat warns Captain Star, and he's right. Captain Star's 7 tugs and Captain Zero's 5 Z Stacks were enemies and rivals, usually competing with each other for work. But there was a time where they had to work together on a really important job. The tugs were asked to go upriver to the big sawmill to collect timber which had to be brought down to the harbour. Big Mac, OJ, Sunshine and Top Hat were the first of the Star Tugs to arrive at the sawmill. Zip and Zack were already there, having their barges loaded with timber. The Star Tugs lined up ready for loading as Zip and Zack set off back downriver. Zug was on his way to join them, but Captain Zero had asked him to deliver an old tramp steamer to the breaker's yard first. The tramp steamer was a huge old rusty vessel, and Zug found it very heavy to tow. Up at the sawmill, the crane loaded up Big Mac and OJ's barges. As they waited, OJ noticed another barge approaching. It was Billy Shoepack, the alligator tug. He always worked upriver, transporting essential supplies for the town, Mittsville, to the logging camps. He was called an alligator tug because he was low in the water and dangerous. He carried items such as petrol, dynamite and fuses. "Hey, Star Tugs," called Billy. "Don't you wish you'd told something more exciting than wood?"
"No thanks," grinned Big Mac. "Keep that stuff away from us."
"Dynamite's great," laughed Billy. "Makes lovely big bangs. But it's safe enough if you know how to handle it." Down at Mittsville, Zug was still struggling to tow the rusty tramp steamer upstream. It was hard work. Zip and Zack came past with their first timber delivery. As they passed Zug with their loaded barges, Zack called to him.
"Hey Zug, Soren's waiting for you upstream. What's taking you so long?"
"Captain Zero asked me to deliver this old rust bucket to the breaker's yard on my way upriver," explained Zug.
"Well, Zoran's waiting and he's pretty angry, so you better hurry up."
"I'm only obeying Captain Zero's orders. He can't blame me," muttered Zug, and he continued on his way. As Zug steamed upriver, he started to worry. A moment later, Zoran appeared.
"What are you doing with that?" he yelled at Zug. "We're all supposed to be moving timber today."
"Sorry, Zoran, but Captain Zero told me to take it to the breaker's yard."
"Okay," snapped Zoran. "Let's get it there as fast as we can."
He moved behind the tramper to push it, while Zug towed it. But Zoran was stronger than Zug, and the tramper began to slip sideways across the river. "I can't hold it!" cried Zug, as the tramper swung round, hit the banks on either side of the river, and came to a halt. The river was now completely blocked, with Zug on one side of the tramper and Zoran on the other. "I'm trapped!" cried Zug. "I can't get past!"
"You're not alone," jeered Zoran. "The Star Tugs are trapped on your side too. And that means the Z Tugs have got the harbour all to ourselves. Captain Zero will be pleased."
And he set off back downstream, leaving the tramper firmly wedged across the river and Zug trapped upriver. Sunshine and Top Hat, towing their loaded barges, arrived at the tramper and saw Zug looking upset.
"Good heavens!" cried Top Hat. "What on earth is that?"
"Someone pushed the tramper out of line and I couldn't hold it," explained Zug. "We'll never get it clear," said Sunshine.
"That means we're trapped up here," frowned Top Hat.
"Probably," agreed Sunshine. "I'll go back upriver and get a crane." He released his barges and set off. Down at Mittsville, Zoran was surprised to see 10 cents towing a covered barge upstream.
"I thought you stars were all up at the sawmill," he said.
"Wrong, Zoran," grinned 10 cents. "I'm making a special delivery to Mittsville." "Why, what's going on?"
"There's been an accident," said Zoran. "An old tramper is blocking the river. No one can get through."
"I'll go and see if I can do anything," said 10 cents, and he hurried off upriver, leaving Zoran grinning to himself. Up at the logging camp, Sunshine saw Billy Shoepack. "Hey, Billy," he yelled, "where can I find a crane?"
"What do you want the crane for?" asked Billy. "Something terrible's happened. An old tramper stuck across the river and we're all trapped up here. Do you know anyone who could help?" "Yes, me," grinned Billy. "I'll blast out a way for you." And he shot off towards the tramper, followed by Sunshine.
By now, 10 Cent had arrived at the tramper.
"Oh my, this is serious," he muttered. "Hope the star's all right. Anybody there?" he called.
Top Hat raised his wheelhouse and his head appeared over the tramper.
"Oh, 10 Cent, have you come to save us?"
"If I can," said 10 Cent, "I'll go and fetch a crane." And he turned to go back to Mittsville. "I'll be as quick as I can."
"Don't hurry,"
said Top Hat as 10 Cent steamed away. The other tugs gathered around Top Hat beside the tramper.
"What a mess," sighed old Jay. "Captain Star will be furious." "I warned him, you know," said Top Hat. "I said working with the Z-Stacks would lead to trouble."
"It wasn't my fault," snapped Zuck. "Ask Zoran."
Snorted Big Mac. "One of Zoran's little schemes, no doubt. I should have known."
"Never mind that," said OJ. "Why don't we lash together 3 or 4 barges and make a battering ram to dislodge the tramper?" The other tugs agreed to it and began to tie together their heavily laden barges. Down at Mittsville, 10 Cent had found Little Ditcher, the A-frame crane. "Hey, Little Ditcher!" he called. "There's been an accident. I need your help to clear an old tramp steamer that's blocking the river."
"Sure thing," agreed Little Ditcher. "I'm all yours."
And he and 10 Cent set off upriver. Back beside the tramper, the tugs had lashed together their heavily laden barges.
"Wait till I give the word and then push as hard as you can," ordered OJ. "Ready, steady, go."
The tugs rammed the barges into the side of the tramper, but it wouldn't budge.
"It's no good,"
sighed OJ. He noticed Sunshine coming back.
"Let's hope Sunshine's found some help."
Sunshine pulled up, closely followed by Billy Shoepack.
"Hiya, fellas," cried Billy. "I heard you need some help. This sounds like a job for me." "I thought you were going for the crane, Sunshine," said Big Mac, "not an alligator."
"Sunshine, you have got someone else coming in, haven't you?" said old Jay angrily.
"You don't need anyone else when you got me," said Billy, raring to go. "I've more than enough dynamite to blast that thing out of the way. I'll soon set you free."
"Blow us all sky high, more like," muttered Big Mac, scowling as he backed away from Billy. Downstream from the tramper, 10 Cent was still towing Little Ditcher along. "That little fellow won't stand a chance with a tramper that size," said Zoran as he came hurrying past him on his way back upriver. "Hey, Zoran!" called 10 Cent. "Where's the rescue team?" Zoran ignored him, and 10 Cent felt sure that Zoran had not bothered to report the accident. He obviously wanted to keep the stars trapped upriver for as long as possible. Up beside the tramper, Sunshine pulled Zug clear as Billy Shoepack set up the dynamite.
"All ready for the bang?" asked Billy.
"This could be a disaster, OJ," muttered Big Mac. "Look, Big Mac, it's already a disaster," said OJ. "We're all trapped up here and things can't get much worse. What have we got to lose?"
"Here we go," cried Billy as he lit the fuse. "Stand by. 10, 9, 8.
"Well, we're far enough away," shuddered Big Mac. But on the other side of the tramper, Zoran had just arrived, hoping to speak to Zug. He moved up close to the tramper just as Billy Shoepack shouted,
3, 2, 1, fire!
Kaboom! There was an enormous explosion. The tramper split in two with a loud crack, and there was a roar as all the water that had been building up behind it cascaded through the gap, carrying Billy Shoepack with it.
"Geronimo!" shouted Billy as he shot downstream. "What a bang!"
But as the water surged through the gap, it picked up Zoran and carried him towards a bend in the river. Out of control, he was washed up onto the rocks, and there he was stuck. The other tugs came carefully through the gap and steamed down to the bend in the river.
"Looks like you've got a problem there, Zoran," laughed Big Mac.
Zoran scowled.
"Right, everyone, back to work," ordered OJ. "The problem's solved."
"Thanks to me," grinned Billy. "You didn't think I could do it, did you?" And he set off back upriver, feeling very pleased with himself. For once in his life, Billy Shoepack had done a great job. As for Zoran, he had plotted to trap the Star Tugs and had ended up trapped on the rocks himself.